Welcome back to A Story to Tell from the campus of Dixie State University. Today we're talking to David Cordero.
Yep, that's
David,
right.
how are you?
I'm doing great, Lane. How are you doing?
Really good. Welcome to A Story to Tell.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from, what you've done, and so forth.
Sure. Well, I spent the first 23 years of my life in San Diego.
Isn't that the best place in the world to live, the most optimum temperature and everything?
Yeah, the climate's great, wonderful place to grow up and live, tons of things to do. But you know, I like St. George now, and I enjoy being here. How I got here is kind of interesting. After I finished up at San Diego State, I was looking for a job in sports writing, and this was about 2001. And it was a little tougher to find a job than I expected, but I found a really neat one in Logan, Utah.
Logan, Utah.
Logan, yep.
How did you get onto that?
Well, I saw an ad in the Journalism Jobs website, and I sent my stuff in, and they called me up, and I remember going up to visit there for the first time, and luckily they didn't have me come visit in January. Otherwise, I would have nixed that idea. But I came up, it was early August, and it was beautiful and just a real nice, small town atmosphere that I'd never been in before. I thought, well, this would be nice. I don't know a whole lot about Utah, but I suppose I could be here for a year or two and enjoy it and move on in my career. Well, I haven't left Utah since. I ended up meeting my wife, and we got married.
How did you meet your wife?
She was a student at Utah State. She worked at the student newspaper there, the Utah Statesman, and she also did sports at the time.
Well, now, were you working for a newspaper up there?
I was working for the Herald Journal. I was a sports reporter. I covered high school sports, Utah State, a little bit of the Olympic type sports I did there, and enjoyed it quite a bit. Great town, bad winters, but I really enjoyed the people. But when a chance came to move to warmer climes, I jumped all over it.
Where was that?
That was right here, St.
St.
George.
George.
St. George.
Did you get warm here?
I got very warm here. That's why I have this haircut now. I used to have long hair in the summer. And then I spent a summer here. 2006 was my first year here. I started off on the sports desk. I did layout and copy editing and enjoyed that quite a bit. And within a year I was promoted to sports editor. And I did that for a while, and I had a chance to move up into the culture and trends, the lifestyle section.
Culture. Tell me about culture.
Sure. It covers kind of a wide gamut. Our life section and our where it's at, a little tab that comes out on Fridays. We cover music, we cover movies, we cover religion, we cover family, we cover kind of everything that's not sports or hard news kind of falls into the life section, and enjoy that quite a bit. And then our editor Todd Seifert left, and they put me in charge on an interim basis, and we'll see how that goes.
So you're the temporary big boss.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit more about how you met your wife.
Well, we were covering a football game, Utah State at Utah, and I'd only been in Logan for a couple weeks. I just moved in and was kind of getting my feet wet, and I was helping the beat writer for Utah State for our paper cover the game at Utah. And my wife Julie, she was working for the Utah Statesman, covering that game for their newspaper, and our seats were next to each other.
That was the student newspaper.
The student newspaper, yep. And our seats were next to each other, and we got to talking.
And then what happened?
And then the rest is history.
How long before you got married?
It was about, I'd say, 2.5 years or so. Yeah, 2.5 years.
So you didn't rush into anything?
Didn't rush into anything, no.
Now, you were from this foreign country, California.
That's right.
To the west of Nevada. Where was she from?
She's from all over. Her family, her dad was in the Air Force, and so she had been in various places like Spokane, in Utah for quite a bit. She was born in East St. Louis. So she had kind of been around a little bit, not overseas. He did his overseas duty early in his time in the Air Force, but so she had kind of moved around a bit.
So she was living in Logan at the time?
In Logan at the time as a student. She was a sophomore at Utah State.
2.5 years later, that's about when she graduated.
Yep, that's right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're married over 10 years now.
10 years.
Yeah.
Condolences.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge you had in your life?
Wow. Well, being the interim editor has certainly been a big challenge. There's been a lot of work, a lot of personnel decisions that I've been a part of, a lot of juggling. Time management has become very crucial. So that has been a big challenge, and I feel like I've really embraced it, and I've enjoyed it, and it kind of keeps me excited coming to work every day, knowing that I might face something I've never seen before, but I feel like I have the ability and the support to be able to get through it.
100 years ago, when I worked in television news, we had a beat that we were assigned to. For example, this was in Salt Lake City, the city and county building or the state capitol or something. And we were responsible going up and digging out the stories ourselves. It's the same way now, or do you make assignments, or both, or what?
Sure. Well, we've kind of entered a new way of how we approach our storytelling. We call it it's called the Picasso method, and there's
Picasso,
yeah.
Was he of the modern era or the?
He was in, his heyday was kind of in the 1920s.
Okay, well, that's modern.
Maybe when you were starting to get in the TV, right?
You're good. Well, a little bit after that.
Yeah. No, he had a different way of looking at things and different way of approaching things. We like to give our reporters a little more autonomy, a little more ownership on their beats. There are some things that are assigned. We can't avoid that. But a lot of times we want our writers to come up with their own ideas, and we're there to help support them, use our experience to guide them, and kind of strategize on how we tell the story.
Do you do much, you're the editor, do you do much editing when they bring the stuff in, or suggestions to them, or you pretty well print it the way they write it?
Yes, well, I mean, it depends on the experience of the writer, usually. Some of them, they don't require a whole lot of editing. It's just kind of, a comma here, maybe this paragraph should go here instead, kind of a thing. Some of the less experienced writers, a little more, there's a little more work going on. So I would say there's a significant amount of editing. There's also, deciding on headlines, and with us being more taking a bigger, putting a bigger emphasis on the online aspect of it. We write different headlines for our online stories than we do in print. It's just the matter of getting people's attention, and so there's a lot of things that go on. Being an editor, that's more than just editing the copy that's in front of you. There's the placement, the strategizing, and all that fun stuff.
There's a famous old-time movie with Clark Gable, Doris Day, called Teacher's Pet. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
It's
no.
about newspapers.
Oh, really? I have to take a look at that.
He was a newspaper editor, and she taught journalism at a college. And there's kind of a dialogue there. And it's kind of interesting. Look it up on the internet.
Teacher's Pet. I'll look it up.
Pet.
Maybe they have it at the library.
They might do.
Yeah.
But there's an old axiom of who, what, where, when, and why.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
Yes.
Maybe I got those in the wrong order.
Yeah. Who, what, when, where, why. Yeah. Yeah. That's critical to every story, and really the why is the important things. An event can happen, and we can write that it happened, but we have to convey to our readers why we felt it was important enough for us to use this valuable ink, this valuable paper, this valuable web space to bring this to you. That's really the big emphasis now is the context and the impact of the stories. We don't, if we want to go cover a parade, great, but why are we covering it? Is there something really important about it? Is there a certain group that's in the
boss
parade
said
that's
to do
important? Oh yeah, that's the old way.
Erase that.
Yeah, that's the old way. The boss would do it, and we march out there and cover it. But now we really look for nice angles in storytelling. My philosophy, and I feel like I picked this up a lot in sports. I'd go out, let's say I'd cover a Dixie State football game. There would be thousands of people at the game, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, however many people, depends on the opponent and the time of season. they've all seen the game. They know what happened. I have to tell them why it happened. I have to tell them what factors went into the result. I have to tell them, I have to kind of get into the minds of the players, the coaches, why they did certain things, what was going through their head while it was happening, kind of bring the human dimension to it. And so that's what I am trying to bring to our staff, is kind of enhance the storytelling aspect and really make it so the reader can put themselves in the shoes of the subject portrayed in the newspaper.
Well, you've been the sports person, a cultural person, news person.
Yep.
I guess you ought to be the editor.
Yeah, well, hey, I'll take that endorsement.
Online stuff, is there a future for the actual printed paper?
I think so. I think everybody to some degree likes to have something in front of them. You know,
My wife does.
Yeah, you know, I do. I love the printed paper. I love picking it up in the morning. I love going through. I love seeing the photos. You know, online is great. It's fast. It's convenient. It's how people will consume the paper in the future. That's, you know, I understand that completely, and we're full bore into making sure that we're not losing readership in that, you know, in that gap. But the printed product, there is still a market for that, and there actually has been a study that among millennials, interest in printed magazines have actually increased over the years. I'm not sure which group put together that study, but that was really interesting to note that there is a future for the printed product. You know, how much longer we'll have a newspaper, you know, on doorsteps every day, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you know, it depends, you know, the future, who can hold the future. 30 years ago, did we think we'd be able to whip up any story on our phone, you know, at any given time? I didn't think that. So, you know, there's a way the technology is pretty exciting, but I always think there'll be a spot for the printed product.
On your online information, do you have audio and video there also, or just?
We do. Yep, we have a great video selection. In fact, we're at the triathlon. Have two really nice videos on there if you want to check it out. Thespectrum.com. And we have photo galleries from most of the events that we cover, anywhere between 20 photos and 100 photos in each gallery. Really nice to kind of pick out and look and see if you know anybody in there, and it really kind of gives you a feel of the event more so than one or two pictures in print can give you.
The Vent.
Yes.
Tell me about the Vent.
The Vent is very interesting. You know, when I first moved here, 2006, that was one of the parts that I really enjoyed in the newspaper. People had interesting things to say. A lot of it was geared locally. But over the years, I felt like it deteriorated to the point where it's just, you know, the left bashing the right bashing the left.
With very little factual.
Very little factual. There were the anti-LDS crowd bashing the LDS crowd. You have the
What about the LDS crowd bashing the LDS crowd?
Yeah, well, yeah. Anything bad you can imagine was on this, and being the Vent as it was anonymous, and so you know, we felt like the readers weren't getting enough out of the Vent. It wasn't productive, and at the very worst, some people actually accused us of writing some of that ourselves.
Did you?
No, no way. We have plenty to do, and so we thought, you know what, we're gonna change this up a little bit. We're gonna make it so people have to sign their names. You know, if you have something to say, be a grown-up and put your name to it. And I think so far that's worked. It's obviously the number of events have been cut down quite a bit, but I think that opens it up for more meaningful editorial content on the opinion page.
The Writers Group, tell us about that.
Sure. It's a group of people that write in the opinion section,
How do you select them?
Well, we kind of, they get like a term. They write for a certain amount of time. Whether it's 6 months or a year, it kind of depends on, who's running the opinion section at the time.
Does someone apply for that, or?
Yes. Yep. You contact, send an email to community@thespectrum.com, and you can, be considered, for the position. And basically, we're looking for people who are going to have an opinion. First of all, it is the opinion page, and also people that are going to have. We try to balance it out, conservative and people who are more on the liberal side of things, and we also encourage, writing stories that aren't so politically based all the time. I think there's a certain fatigue people get from reading those after a time, and so we like to kind of mix it up, and so we have really a wide variety of people writing. There's certainly the 30s and 40 somethings that have been writing. There are the people that have lived in the area for most of their life, and they're now in their 70s that are writing. There are the freshly moved in retirees that are writing, and so I feel like it's a neat way to express your views and be heard.
Is there any editing of those?
For grammar, we don't want poor grammar to reflect badly on us. But as far as the structure of the stories, we give them a word count that they've got to hit.
What's that?
And, I want to say it's 550 words. I have to double check on that. Not positive. Maybe it's a little bit less. But if there's something major that we feel is overly inflammatory, then we'll discuss it with them. We won't go in there and just hack it to shreds. And we don't want people in our writers group waking up in the morning and not recognizing, their stories.
The people that are nationally famous, like Krauthammer and
Right.
Will and so forth, how do you select those that you print?
Well, we have there's a syndicate that we purchase that includes them, and a lot of the selections we make we discuss on the editorial board. People like George Will have been very popular with us, and Krauthammer, Haynes.
My wife thinks that Krauthammer ought to run for president.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, it's easy to look good when you've got time to write a story and edit it, and it's easy to look good that way. But when you're speaking live and extemporaneously, it's kind of a different story.
He's paralyzed
Yeah.
from the neck down.
Yeah.
Quite a miraculous story, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, tell me about your family, your wife. What does she do?
She's a school teacher. She teaches 8th grade history at Dixie Middle School. She's done that. She's been a teacher for about 8 years, 8 or 9 years, and we have 2 kids. David Jr., he's 7 in 2nd grade. Emma's 4. She's finishing up preschool. We'll start kindergarten next year, and so they keep me busy.
What do you do for fun?
Well, we like to go, we're kind of a sports family. David Jr. plays football, he plays soccer, he plays baseball, and so we're pretty active that way. Emma does dance, and David also does Cub Scouts. We like to hike. We find that to be a lot of fun.
Are there hiking trails around here?
Just a few. And there's actually more that kids can do than you think if you just kind of take time to check it out.
You're quite tall. Well, maybe not tall for basketball, but did you play sports when you were in college?
Yeah, in high school I played baseball. I didn't play basketball. I didn't have much skills. Baseball-wise, I did all right. I played in the infield, first base, second base, third base, and it was a lot of fun, especially in San Diego. San Diego's kind of the hotbed for high school baseball. San Diego, Orange County, Florida, those are kind of the big spots for it. So it was a lot of fun playing against real high-level competition. Barry Zito, who went on to have a long career. I'm not sure if he's still with the Giants, but he was in our league that we played against. There's a couple other players. Aaron Harang at Patrick Henry. He's still pitching, I think, for the Braves. And so there was actually about 5 or 6 big leaguers my age in San Diego County at the time. So it was pretty interesting.
What about your parents? Tell me about them.
Sure. My dad has been an employee of the state of California for more than 30 years. He works for Caltrans. He's in testing. So he tests concrete to make sure that they can withstand the pounding of the multitude of cars that'll go on it. When new freeways are coming up, that's usually when he's at his busiest.
Do they test that with some kind of a atomic measuring thing? Or?
I never accompanied them out on a. They didn't do a take your son to work day.
Well, they should have.
They should have. But I know that he tests that quite a bit. He's getting close to retiring, but he's enjoyed that. My mom has worked in schools for probably almost as long, 25, pushing 30 years. She's now an assistant librarian at a school in San Diego, and she enjoys that quite a bit. They're always involved in things. My mom was president of the PTA. My dad either helped coach baseball or was the scorekeeper, and has been and still involved in the Little League long after I've been gone and out of the system there. So they always kept busy, and so I think some of that rubbed off on me because I help out and I coach when I can. My son's Little League baseball team and football, and in fact soccer last Saturday the coach was gone, so I kind of ended up taking over it a little bit.
Did you win or lose?
We lost a tough one. It was 3-2. The other team hadn't lost all year, but we gave them a run for their money, and so that was a lot of fun.
When our son James was very young, he played little kids soccer, and the coach called me one day and said, "I've got to be out of town. Would you coach this game that's coming up?" And I said, "I've never played soccer. I don't know what to do." So I went down to the library and read up on it, and it said, just kids that age, just teach them to run to the ball. So
Yeah.
I just said, run to the ball, and they won that game, so I was a hero.
Yeah.
I didn't know a thing about it.
1-0. That's your career coaching record.
Yeah. So anyway, it's funny. What advice would you give young people today?
Well, I think you need to be persistent and keep your eye on the prize. I feel like everything that you're doing, you should be working towards something. It's real easy to get bogged down, to get a little complacent, to not want to push yourself. And I think as I've grown up and matured, I feel like it's important to push yourself or find that mentor who will help push you and get you to where you need to be. Because if you're not improving, if you're not developing your talent and your skills, then you're falling behind. Because there's people coming up, they're gonna pass you. And early on in my journalism career, I wished I'd pushed myself more and made more of an effort in that regard. But I feel like a lot of times too, it's a matter of maturity. It's finding, kind of seeing what you want. When I came out of college, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball beat reporter. That was my goal. I wanted to do that. I didn't think I'd be married in my 20s at all.
How old were you when you got married?
I was close to, I was a few days, about a week away from being 26. Okay. And so I thought, well, I'd picture my life at age 23. I thought, I'm going to go and work my way up. I'm going to cover baseball. I'm going to be able to get that Hall of Fame vote, and then maybe I'll get married and have a family, and, whatever. Well, a lot of times life has a different plan for you, and so you adjust your plan. And I feel like I had a lot of leadership skills in me that were a little bit latent. Having not been in a leadership position in Logan, and once I came to St. George, I felt like the opportunity came, and I felt like the leader in me really kind of came out. And so So I really think you know, push yourself, find out you know, what you want to do, and you know, good enough is never enough.
What's your ultimate goal? Be the head of Gannett?
Well, you know, my ultimate goal is I'd like to be an author of World War II books. World War II is a passion of mine. And in fact, have you heard of Utah Honor Flight?
Yes.
I have accompanied them twice. The last 2 trips, I'm going again in June. And I really enjoy that a lot. Those are the most, easily the most fulfilling assignments I've ever had in my life. And it's just wonderful to see the recognition our World War II veterans get when they're out there. Long overdue. Some of them, you know, it's been 70 years since they've received a pat on the back and thank you for what you've done. And so I've been a historian, and I've been a fan of World War II for some time, and I really would like to write books about them. I try to make it a monthly column. Sometimes there's a little bit more time in between the columns, called Soldier Stories, where I profile some veterans of World War II. World War II has a unique piece of my heart because my grandfather served in World War II. He was born in Mexico, and he wanted to become a citizen, and so he figured the best way to do that would be to join the Army, and fought in the European theater, became a citizen, and he's been my hero ever since.
Well, David, it's really a pleasure talking with you. I
Thank you.
congratulate you on your rise to fame and fortune, and I hope you continue to do that.
Thank you, Lane.
I had some other questions, but we're running out of time. Let me just say this, news reporting, isn't it called the Third Estate or something?
Is it the Fifth Estate?
Fifth Estate?
It is one of the estates.
Anyway, thanks a lot for being with us. This is Lane Ronno from the campus of Dixie State University. Thanks for being with us on A Story to Tell.